was having a conversation with a up and coming game designer last night about kind of the market here in the tabletop RPG space. Okay, what it's going to take is a complete upending of the market at every level. Okay, I'm going to be like dead serious honest with all of you now. As far as from a revenue and a profitability standpoint for game stores and what's going on with the tabletop RPG market right now, there's no incentive for anybody to do it. Okay, tabletop RPGs sell for crap everywhere.
They're definitely banking on your labor of love.
Okay, this is happening for multiple reasons, right? One, it doesn't have the comeback factor that TCGs and other things have, right? So it's hard for game stores and everybody else along the supply chain to support it. Quite frankly, everybody's moving to a digital model, and the consumer base has said, we want digital. The consumer base has said, we don't want to be in game stores anymore. The consumer base has said, we don't want books, we don't want any of that. We are very happy to pay subscription fees and buy PDFs, okay? And here's the thing. I want you to understand that I'm not saying this to say I don't get it. There is a lot of upsides to it. Accessibility, cost, everything that rolls into doing things digitally and with PDF, right? It's way easier to publish it just as a PDF. I know this from experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And for the creators and for some of the smaller publishers, it's the better way to go, right? But for game companies, specifically for the publishers, they have zero, and I mean zero incentive to run sanctioned stuff in stores anymore. They don't care to, they don't want to, there's no money in it for them, there's no reason for them as a company to invest any amount of money into running organized play at stores. Period. Full stop.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the facts.
Yeah. It's a digital age, yo.
The tabletop RPG industry is in the middle of a, for lack of a better term, kind of a reckoning right now, right? They are in the middle of a complete industry shakeup that is being helmed and driven by one corporation.
Yes.
Okay? That's all there is to it. Hang on. I think we ended up disconnecting it, but we're just going to keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to do more with organized play with stuff, right?
Yeah.
We have people who come in and do it. Liana was doing Valor for a long time. Peter was coming to play for the Well. A lot of creators want to get people in there. The creators really want to do it. The consumer base has said, nope, we're not doing it. Sorry, we just don't. We just don't, right? They just don't want to. And again, I'm not mad at the consumers. I'm not mad at the publishers. I'm not upset with anybody. But the only thing I'm frustrated with is this cross purposes thing, where these people go, we want this, and then you do it, and they don't show up, right?
Trying to think of. I have some thoughts, but I don't want
to. To answer related to this, we're going to see the disappearance of sitting around the table to play. I think it's going to divide into two very different scenes. If you're asking for my prediction, I think you're going to see two very different hobbies emerge out of this, right? One that is more like the tabletop RPGs of old, and that is going to be a very specific, very niche hobby of people who just like doing it that way. They want physical dice, they want physical books, and there's this stuff.
I think you're going to start running into a slight generational divide as well. Like, I'm on that line of, like, I can play via Discord. I think it's much more boring than being at a table.
Me too. I have a hard time focusing.
Yeah. But I grew up playing around a table. Combine that with... Okay, how do I... Combine that with COVID and people being in their house, right? They're conditioned to be in their house and be comfortable.
Yep.
And also
a lot of tools that came out of that that were refined and really rebuilt during COVID and built in a way where it's easy.
Yep. And I also, this is me projecting a little bit my feelings on it, but there's the big corporation that's doing it, right? But I'm also going to blame a lot of other corporations because, and I know that it's not just me. There are other people and younger people. A lot of people feel like if they leave their house to go do something somewhere, there's a constant push for like. Have you ever gone to the optometrist to buy glasses?
Sure.
Going to your appointment to get the thing done is not a problem. Walking past all the salespeople to get there is like walking through shark-infested water.
Can be.
A lot of the time when you leave your house, it just feels like you're constantly swimming through a bunch of sharks with a bunch of companies like, hey, pay for this, buy this, buy this. You want to park your car somewhere? Pay for that. Oh, but you have to download an app in order to pay for the parking for your car. And guess what? If your phone's dead, too fucking bad, you're going to get towed or you got to park somewhere else. And that's just one example. And a lot of people are like, fucking, I'll just play on Discord. So, like, that one company, yeah, but there's also a lot of other companies, and we've talked about this part of, like, people just not having boundaries being eroded the last 20 years, and a constant handout, pay me. Like, why, what, for what? Well, this thing. Shit. So I think there's an intersection there between that happening more and more, and then COVID happening, people just being like, I'm just going to stay in my house, which sucks. Not that way here. You can come plop down and play here.
Yeah. And there, again, I don't think it, somebody brought it up in the chat. It's a matter of, we don't think it's going to go away, but it's going to decrease. And that's really where I think it's going to go. I think 8-10 more years, I would say the number of people playing around a table is going to decrease.
It'll boomerang, though. With the generation after Z, it'll become a novelty to sit around the table and play.
And use physical device. Yeah.
We've been missing out. Like people, who've grown up with Kindle, and now they're like going into bookstores and finding physical books. Like, there's so much character on this, and it's $2, and I own it. This is awesome, and I get to just, great. It'll come back around.
So yeah, when anybody's asking about getting these companies in, regardless of who it is, to do organized play, they're not gonna.
Organized play?
Yeah. There's no incentive for them. None. Zero. Right?
I know they see it that way, but I do disagree.
I mean, I do too. But it's kind of how I feel about what's happened with this industry and game shops and stuff like that. We've been down this road a bunch of times on this channel.
Yeah.
If you're watching this later on YouTube, go back and look at a bunch of our other videos. Again, to me, the frustrating part is when people ask me, why is this happening? Because we let it.
Yeah.
Okay? And again, there is an argument to be made, and I've heard this argument many times, especially, let's keep this on tabletop roleplay.
Yeah.
Accessibility. Game stores. When you grow up in a rural area, or you are from the middle of nowhere, or you don't have game shops near you, right? Having these tools is great, and it's phenomenal, and it's the only way you can play, and I love that, right? And I think that's great for those people. But the problem is that it's not just them using it, right?
Correct.
It's such a good tool, and it works so well that even if there is a game shop around the store around the corner from your house, you're still playing with your friends on Discord and Foundry and all the VTTs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're still not going, right? Because these tools have been developed. And again, there's an argument to be made for accessibility. There's an argument to be made for people who have disabilities or social anxiety or because of COVID and because of compromised immune system. There's a lot of arguments to be made.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
But and again, this is not. We need to stop thinking of the word consequence as a bad thing. Consequences are not a bad thing. It is just the natural extension of X, right?
Yeah, the definition is a result of something.
The definition is it is as a result of something. I've told this story a bunch of times. Middle of last year, the head of Alexandria RPG, he comes up to me. He goes, Alex, why don't game stores support tabletop RPGs anymore? And I said, because tabletop RPGs do not support game stores. Full on stop. Even when we were at the stage with tabletop RPGs where I had between 25 and 40 people here per session, twice a week, we still didn't sell any books.
Yeah, it was mostly dice.
And here's the thing, there's only some, they're like, you'll get them, but dice A are not a high value item, and B, there's only so many dice you're gonna buy, right?
Everyone's like, I shouldn't buy more dice. These are cool. That's the last one.
Yep. And again, the thing is that even when we had all those bloody people here, they still didn't buy books. They just don't, right? And I would talk to them, and I would say, how many of you are buying this stuff? And the ones that were buying it, they're buying it on D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
Or they're buying the PDF version from Drive-Thru. And again, I, as a publisher, I don't blame you. It's cheaper. It's more accessible. You've got Control F in a PDF.
Yeah.
There's so much to it.
Kelsey brings up a good point. And then they sit until they're obsolete. The books. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when people ask me this question, I literally go, it's because the nature of the marketplace and what both the consumers, and this is also easier for the publishers. Look, man, if these guys didn't have to worry about logistics of shipping printed books from China,
well, I get it.
Misprints and bad binding and not being able to QA/QC it and all these other issues and sending to distribution. And here's the thing. The publishers don't make squat when it goes into distribution. They're making $5-6 a book on a $60 book.
Yeah.
Right?
Monetizing TTRPGs players is very difficult. Yeah, and that's why a subscription makes sense.
And this is literally why the lady, the CEO of Wizards said that last year, and everybody lost their minds. Our players are under-monetized. And what did I say at the time? She's right. She's 1,000% right.
Yeah.
Right? Okay? But the method of monetization has nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, to do with game stores.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to support organized play here. Again, I've told this story. My first conversation with the Wizards. We did our WPNs thingy. We became a WPN store. Here's all the support you're going to get for Magic. And I literally am on the phone with a guy from Wizards of the Coast, and I said, what kind of support is there for Dungeons & Dragons? There's not.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
There's not.
Yeah.
There's just not.
Not to mention product being stuck at the docks for weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem. Yeah.
That happens.
I feel like I felt it with a lot of stuff, but this specific thing makes me feel kindred to my dad. Like when I would see him freak out about stuff, and he's like, things are moving, and he's just clawing like, I wish things weren't changing like that. I wish. This is my moment of like, wow. I feel like the old man that's like trying to hang on.
I don't, and here's why I don't. And this is, again, the frustrating thing, because I heard this come out of the Creator Summit. They were like, we don't know how to do that kind of support. Right? And I went, you are absolutely full of crap. Absolutely full of crap. Give me an hour, and I can fix all that for you. Because here's the thing. You guys already know how to do it. You already have the network put into place, right? And other companies already do it. You just have to adapt it for that particular medium. It's very simple. When we did the GW tournament this weekend, we did the Warhammer tournament, right? We got a box. It's our tournament kit. It's our organized play kit we get from them. It had these really cool little mini decks that it was a deck of all the 10th edition stratagems. Mm-hmm. And you got it for free.
Oh, that's cool.
For entering the tournament. Here you go. Here's your deck of stratagems. Right? And to a person, everybody's like, these are really cool. They're really handy. It's a reference deck of all the core stratagems for 10th edition, right? Magic does it all the time. Promo cards, specialized promo stuff, things like that.
Yeah.
Right? You do literally the same thing with dice. You do the same thing with dice. You do it with spell cards, right?
Yeah.
Specialized class reference cards, specialized spell cards, right? Collector's items that they can only get by going to paid events at game stores.
I mean,
I guarantee you they show up.
They do that at Gen Con. People go to Gen Con.
Uh-huh. Okay. how can TTRPGs be competitive? Define competitive. The problem is this. There is literally no industry data. None. Okay? There's a couple of people who've done some really good articles on this. There is no reliable industry data, and believe me when I tell you, none, where I can go to a bank or to an investor group and go give me money to build a company, right? There's just, it doesn't exist.
It's a weird space too, because, okay.
You'd have to burn $20 million to be competitive in the market.
The books are, D&D, basically the books and everything, those are a tool for your creativity, for storytelling. Mm-hmm. It's also kind of like paint companies thinking like, well, how do we sell more paints and brushes? I don't know. The answer is probably not to make shittier brushes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Like it's just it's intersecting creativity and gaming. Like it's such a niche space, I guess. It's weird.
Yeah, somebody in the chat, George said in the chat, we can make incentives when we make TTRPGs competitive. There's no way to do it. And if there is a way to do it, I would love to hear it.
Remember when events like PAX had exclusive swag? Wizards could have an event where people could get exclusive stuff like spell cards, dice, etc. at their LGS.
Oh, you mean the thing they already do for Magic?
I'm saying literally, copy-paste.
You have to copy-paste it. Here's the thing. It's not that they don't know how. That's the excuse.
Some module where everyone around the world could come together and fight the end boss?
It's an excuse, right?
Yeah.
It's not that they don't know how to do it. Wizards already does it. GW does it. Asmodee does it. We did the same thing with the X-Wing tournament this weekend. Every person that entered gets cool promotional stuff that's actually usable for their gaming experience.
Wizards hired Kelsey. They figured it out.
Okay.
They got it. They figured it out. Call them.
They know how to do it. They don't want to. There's no incentive. Because here's the way that they're looking at it. And again, Wizards, Asmodee, there's probably a couple other companies that actually have any real industry information. My guess is their data shows that it doesn't actually increase sales. That's it. That's it. That would be my guess. Or it's too hard to trace the ROI. Sorry, that's where we're at.
The Eye of Terror campaign?
Anyway, y'all can come argue with me about this at the store. If you want to argue with me about this again, I've been in this space now for Pete and I, because somebody asked me at the store, he's one of our regular TTRPG players, and he was here last night, and he was asking me about kind of the history, how did Identico come to be?
Oh boy.
Right? And what was the development cycle, and how did you guys do this, and what was the thought process? Because he's developing his own game, and he wants to talk to other designers about their process in there.
Which the concept sounds cool. Like, I would love to see it, and I'm just like, why did it have to be a role-playing game? Like, of course it's a role-playing game. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah. So, I've been in this space for at least tertiarily involved in this space for almost 9 years. 9 years in the tabletop space. And I'm telling you right now, and I have fought, kicking and screaming. I've talked to banks. I've spent so many hours on the phone with banks and investors and everybody else. And do you know what? It's just the nature of the beast, Again, feel free to come to the store and argue with me about it. If you're a publisher, come talk to me, right? I'd be happy to hear it. Again, I have all the thanks in the world for people like Peter from The Well, Liana from Valor, and everybody who's come into my store with their indie game to run sessions. And I love you to death, and that's the kind of thing you got to do. I did it before we opened our store. I used to run Identico games at Zulu's. Do you know why I did it? Because Zulu's bought books from me, right? They were one of the first game shops to pick up Identico books, and they did it after a quick pitch from Mallow and an agreement that we would come run games for them. And I was happy to do it, and I did it for weeks, leading all the way up to COVID, literally.
Yeah, they were bros.
Right? Yeah. So, again, I'd love to do it, and I appreciate all the people who've done that. I wish the system was different. I've been railing against it and fighting it for years. I've been trying to fight it with this store. Literally every initiative we've tried to do, and I'll be honest, none of it's worked.
It's tough.
None of it.
Hey nerds, thanks for watching. Visit gamersheavenpnw.com for our merch store, which you can get cool shirts like this and rep some of my awesome art. Also, like and subscribe for more content so we can make more videos for you.